What's up? It's Melita, back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. Today I'll be doing the January book tag. I'm sorry, I couldn't do that with not smiling. Don't know what the January book tag is. I'll link Jan from Jan Agaton. All the links will be down below. But basically, I am channeling Jan for this video because it's her tag. So that's the goal for today. So hence the different intro. Let's go ahead and get right into the tag, shall we? So first question is, what's the last and first, if you remember, book that you read last year? So I do remember because I tend to put way too much emphasis on what my first book is for the new year. I did that. I've been doing it for the last several years and it tends to stress me out. So in 2024, I just decided to do a reread that I knew I was going to love, and that was The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, which, if you don't know, basically follows it's like a prequel to the Lord of the Rings series, where we are following Bilbo Baggins, who gets invited onto this journey with 13 dwarves to go reclaim their kingdom under the mountain that's been taken over by a dragon. Along the way, he ends up finding the ring, and other things happen as well. Of course, it's like this big long journey. Gandalf is a part of it. Lovely. I enjoy the book a lot. I will say there are some fatphobic statements within the book, particularly making fun of a plus-sized dwarf. But otherwise, so that was for sure my first one this year for 2024. My last one for 2024 was Fable, the first book in the World of the Narrows series by Adrian Young. So I read the Unmaking of June Farrow earlier this year, really enjoyed it, and ultimately want to read more of Adrian Young. I have the Spells for Forgetting through audio, but wasn't clicking with the audiobook, so I have that requested physically, but saw that Fable was available through my library as an audiobook, and so decided to try that out. I think I rated it like a 3.5. Ultimately, it definitely is a young adult, and I say that just because it has some tropes that I'm very familiar with in terms of young adult. Basically, with Fable, we are following Fable, who is a young woman who basically got left on an island within the Narrows, which it sounds like the Narrows are basically a bunch of islands. But basically she got left on one particular island that's known to be ruthless, and by her father. He abandons her on this island, and she spends 4 years trying to survive on this ruthless island. She's a dredger, so she dives in the waters to get up. I think Pyre is the one that she's digging up currently, but she also finds like other things to help her survive. Something ends up happening on the island where she has to leave earlier than expected. Like she's been wanting off the island, but she had a plan, and that plan is disrupted. So she ends up gaining passage on a ship full of like this ragtag group. And it's a found family trope. It's also like kind of insta love trope, which like ultimately I don't mind. It was just kind of predictable, and ultimately she wants passage to another island that she knows her father's going to be at, because ultimately like she wants to show him that she can survive. Look, I was able to survive 4 years on this island. Fuck you. Like, let me join your crew. Like I said, there's some things that were pretty predictable, but it interested me enough that I'm curious about where it leads next. So I will be continuing on with the series at some point. But yeah, that is the last book that I read for the year. The next question is, what is my first read of this year going to be? And so originally Fable wasn't going to be my last book of 2024. It's actually, I've been reading The Fox Wife by Yangshi Chu. I'm just a little over halfway through it, and just couldn't make it. But okay, so I feel like I could have if I really freaking tried, and I didn't end up trying that hard last night. So today's January 1st. And I was pushing myself yesterday to really get through this book. I could have pushed myself harder, and ultimately like I lost steam towards the end of the night because I realized that, like, you know what, This will help me not have to figure out what I need to finish first at the start of 2025. And ultimately, I wanted to spend the last bit of 2024 with my fiance, like paying attention to him and like just being with him. So that was the choice I made. So I didn't end up finishing it. So I'm hoping this is the first book that I finish for 2025. If you don't know, The Fox Wife by Yang Shi-chu. I've read several books by Yang Shi-chu now. Favorite is by far is still The Ghost Bride. And so this one, The Fox Wife, we have two perspectives. One is from Bao's perspective. He is a detective, and basically this is historical fiction in what is now China, but at the time was Manchuria. And basically Bao is hired to figure out who this dead woman is that was found frozen on the doorstep of a restaurant. He's to be subtle about it because that's bad luck. And as he's trying to figure out who this woman is, he hears stories of possible inklings to foxes. Foxes are a known superstition in this area. They're a mythological creature of sorts, spirit that are known for mischief, and can pretend to be humans and lure humans to like their deaths or like, just like tricksy things. The second perspective that we're following is actually a fox woman who is after a photographer, because photography is just coming up at this time. But she's following a photographer. She wants revenge, essentially. So we're following her and her adventure on this revenge quest. And as she's going along, we're finding that Bao's story is kind of following along right behind her. So it's really interesting. I'm really fascinated with it. I'd say that so far, this would almost, like, this is as interesting to me as The Ghost Bride. I really didn't mind The Night Tiger, but it wasn't great in my opinion. I do want to reread The Ghost Bride at some point because on Goodreads I have The Night Tiger and The Ghost Bride as the same rating. And in my mind, I particularly really enjoyed The Ghost Bride, so I may end up having to reread that one at some point just to see. But yeah, I'm really enjoying The Fox Wife, so I think it'll be a good one to read, to finish reading at the beginning of this year. Question 3 is share 3 of your reading goals for this year. Ultimately this is going to be like my goals video because I don't put much in my goals videos anyway, and I think I say the same thing every year. This is a hobby, like whatever. I want to read more of my physical books. Like, I do want to read more of my physical books for my 24 of 2025, which hopefully that video will be out here shortly. I have a lot of books that are on my physical TBR on that, so it's not a random number generator anymore. I had books that I specifically had in mind for that list. I also hope to utilize my library a bit more. I mean, I work in an interlibrary alone. My one issue with that is that I know that I'm limited in terms of new releases to an extent. We have some new releases within the library that I work at, but they tend to only come around like once a semester, and it's very limited. So maybe I'll try utilizing more of my public library a bit more. I'm also hoping to read new releases as I get them this year. So that's my hope too. So right now I have 2 pre-orders, which kind of leads into the next question of 3 books that I'm anticipating for 2025. I do have 2 books that I've pre-ordered, and both of them are on my 24 of 2025. So there's a sneak peek of that. So here, let me just read that. Question 4 is share your 3 most anticipated titles. So let me just go to my anticipated 2025 releases. So the first one is the new Adrienne Young, A Sea of Unspoken Things. This comes out in January. Like I said, I have a pre-order of it, so hopefully it'll come, I think, mid-January or so. I think it comes out the 16th. But this one we are following James, who is a twin to Johnny. James and Johnny have a connection more than just their intuition. When James gets a call that her brother was in a tragic accident, she knows before she gets the call that he's gone. So she has to go to a rural town in California to clean up his affairs, and realizes that that connection's still there, but she's also realizing that she doesn't know her brother as well as she thought she did. The other one is Water Moon by Samantha Soto Yumbao. This one reminds me of the Kamigawa Food Detectives, but instead of, because it's a shop that appears in this is Tokyo, in Japan. It's a shop that comes up and for people who are particularly looking for it. And basically in Water Moon, it's a shop that you go to leave your regrets, and that you'll not remember them afterwards. What is this? Okay, hold on. Let me read the synopsis. A woman inherits a pawn shop where you can sell your regrets, and then embarks on a magical journey when a charming young physicist wanders into the shop in this dreamlike and enchanting fantasy novel. So it sounds really fantastical because like they have to venture on this journey and go from puddle to puddle, from like the bridge from sunset to sunrise. Like it sounds really like atmospheric, and I'm into it. So that one's another one that I have pre-ordered, and it's also on my 2025. And then the third book that I'll talk about that isn't on that, because I don't want to give all of it away, is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. I love The Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and I've been waiting for A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping since reading that, and it keeps getting pushed back. Like, it was supposed to come out in November of 2024, and then it got pushed back to December, and then it got pushed back to January, and now I see it's July of 2025, so I'm a little upset by it. But I can't wait to read it. So. Question 5 is, which goals did you not reach last year? So there's a couple of challenges. So one of my goals for last year was to do more vlogs, and I had the intention of doing them. I ended up like filming some things, but ultimately when it comes to vlogs, I don't want to carry this large DSLR around. It's not that big comparatively to other DSLRs, but I still don't want to carry it around. It makes me feel like a tourist. I also think it makes people notice that I'm filming, and I don't like that. So I had been filming with my phone, but I hate filming with my phone because I can't just plug it in and drag and drop. I guess that's something you can do. I can't with this. So that's frustrating. So I end up having to download my clips onto Google Drive, and then having to wait for that, and then download those clips from Google Drive onto my computer, and it's just a huge hassle. So I think that's part of the reason why, part of the reason I don't like editing either, is then having to parse that out is just a pain. So I didn't end up editing a lot of the vlogs that I tried to do, and therefore didn't get them up. And so there was like large spans of gaps, as you saw in me posting my videos, as well as just like, my masters and just everything else, life. So yeah, didn't get that done. I had wanted to be participatory in more readathons, but again, wasn't as into them as I could have been, and didn't, life got in the way and I lacked motivation. I reached my Goodreads goal, which was 75, but I have a soft goal every year that as soon as I hit 75 that I want to go to 100, and I fell short by 99 books, which is fine ultimately, but I'm still happy with that. So I also tend to do these challenges that I don't mention to y'all because I don't want to put that pressure on myself, and I feel like if I mention it to you, that you that's then holding me accountable to actually complete them, and I just didn't need that because I was already putting enough pressure on myself to complete them. But one of them is the A to Z challenge. If you haven't heard of it, the A to Z challenge is basically you read a book that starts with that letter of every letter in the alphabet except for Q, Y, and Z, and X, and possibly U. Some of the harder ones that I want to do more investigation in terms of who created this and what the rules are, because my interpretation is that some of the harder ones like Q, U, Y, Z, and X, it doesn't necessarily have to be the beginning of the title. It can be just letters in the title. So the Foxwife was supposed to meet that requirement for X because Fox. And that was my last one. X was my last one for this year, for 2024, and I didn't get it. So it's going to be my first one for 2025. I had wanted to read a lot more 2024 releases too. I think I did pretty good, but there's always, I could have done more. Question 6. Are there new releases this year you've heard of that you have no desire to read? Yeah, probably. I don't keep track of them. Yeah, I feel like there's a few I don't keep track of them, so I couldn't say right off the bat which ones like I'm not interested in. I no doubt like the new Riley Sager, don't care. I haven't cared. I tried reading him once and DNF'd it. I think that was like Lock Every Door. I don't know, it's the one with, it was a pink cover. Didn't care. Haven't cared since. And that one tends to frustrate me because like that's a literally dead book club pick and everyone's freaking book club pick in July or August, and I'm just like, I really just don't care. So I'm sure there's a new Ruth Ware that I also don't care about. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's like a bunch of them. I actually was like, I saw that Abby Jimenez was supposed to come out with another one, and I was like obsessed with her for a solid like month. And like, I don't know. Like, I read this one and I just feel like I read the synopsis for this new one and just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like not into romance right now. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Like, because I also saw that Emily Henry is coming out with a new one, of course. And I didn't mind Funny Story. Like, I thought it was nice. I still prefer the other one, Happy Place, and People We Meet on Vacation, and Book Lovers. Beach Read can go die in a fire, which is funny considering Jan's favorite is, I think, Beach Read, but I don't like it. So I don't know. I was just like not all too impressed. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, they're coming out. I may check it out. So I still need Funny Story physically, actually. So that's gonna bug me. But yeah, there's some that I don't care about. Question 7. What are some reading habits you want to change this year, if any? I think I already talked about them. I do want to read more of my physical TBR. Utilize my library a bit more. Something that I hope to do. So I used to do a book journal, and it got really tiring because I didn't want to have to keep like creating the calendar and yada yada. So I ordered myself a journal from Archer and Olive, which, like, okay, if you have any recommendations for any other like bullet journal, like good bullet journals that have cute covers, like, please let me know, because I'm kind of frustrated with Archer and Olive of how like they've had stuff up on their website that's been sold out for like over a year, and it's either get new shit or take that down. Yeah, they do. I don't know. I have been hearing that they've kind of gone downhill since they've been doing the like subscription thing. And I love that they're doing that, but like, I don't want 3 bullet journals all at once. So, and I don't want a planner. So, but basically I have a bullet journal coming, and I'm gonna do it more as a journal. But I do want to put my thoughts and reviews of books that I read in there as well, so that it's not so like, because I've been kind of doing it for my master's. I've been doing it of the same caliber of just like, and I've just been loving how I've been doing it, kind of doodling, and like not taking it as seriously, and it's kind of artsy, but like it's still like taking notes and like putting my thoughts down. I really enjoy that. And I've kind of been doing it with our wedding journal as we start planning. That one's a little more chaotic. And I wish I was more organized, but I've also ordered tabs for that. But I want to do something similar for like life stuff. I also, and I want to put my reviews of books down, but I have this, it's not a tarot deck, it's an oracle deck, that I also want to get more into and like pull every day, because I don't, I bought it and I want to be able to utilize it a bit more. So like I haven't pulled one yet today. So what if we just, and it's like absolutely gorgeous. So I want to like, I don't know if I want to pull them every week or just like, something just like little affirmations or something. I don't know. I think Jan does something similar too with tarot. And I kind of want to do this with this oracle deck. It's called the Seed and Sickle Oracle deck. There is a dawn guidebook and a sunset, a dusk guide book. So what if we just, it's the first. Let me just pull one for today and see how that goes. It has nothing to do with reading. It's just something I've been wanting to do. This is clematis. Clematis, momentum, support, reciprocity. Oh, so clematis, it's in summer. So I will say right off the bat that this is kind of like, I wish this was organized a bit better, because right now I couldn't just tell you what page clematis is on. I can tell you it's in summer because I happen to find it in summer. The clematis grows across any surface it is given, eager to rise and reach towards the blazing summer sun. Its spiraling vines grab onto any opportunity that appears, putting its flowers in the best position to drink in the rain and warmth. This card symbolizes movement and momentum, a push towards the best position that will help you achieve your goal. Just be sure to remember those who held you up on your race to the finish. So yeah, like that. That is gorgeous, and I think is very fitting for the first of the year. So that's what I want to do, and I want to put that in a journal and just going to remind myself of these little affirmations. So nothing bookish, but I plan on doing my book reviews and like thoughts in this bullet journal as well. So question 8, are there any adaptations you're excited about? Not really. I don't pay attention to those. 9, favorite bookish memory of last year. I met Darcy Little Badger, who wrote A Lot's Away, which is one of my favorite books of all time, at ALA, which is a conference for librarians. But I absolutely loved it. It was like a roundabout way of doing it, just because there was some so okay, this is gonna be kind of creepy, but I went to ALA with a coworker. There were several coworkers, but a coworker and I particularly were like, we're going to be ALA buddies. But we didn't necessarily go to any of the same workshops. So at one point I was taking a break because ALA can be overwhelming, and it doesn't help when people are like, oh, if you think this is overwhelming, don't come to Comic-Con, because you can actually move here. You can't in Comic-Con. Never go into Comic-Con. Thanks. So it was overwhelming for me, and I think I was taking a break, and so I was just sitting on a bench in this large hallway, and I see Darcy Little Badger pass by me, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I knew she was going to be downstairs in like the vendor hall at some point doing signatures, and I'm like, okay, but why is she up here? Like, is she in a panel? Is she in a panel? And so I look, and yes, sure enough, she's on a panel. And so I forget whatever workshop I was supposed to be going to and just follow her to this panel, where it was Levine Corrido, the publishers, Darcy Little Badger, and several other authors, like talking about soft censorship and how that's affected their work, and how there's no real way to be able to effectively track how that affects authors' work or an author's career. So it was a really cool talk, and then right afterwards she was downstairs to sign, but she was supposed to be in this like signing area, and it turns out like no, she wasn't. So thankfully the guy that was from Living Creative in the panel saw a bunch of us that were like, oh, you guys were on that, like in there, you're waiting for Darcy. She's over here actually, and goes to show us where she is in the publisher's booth. And it was for She and Lind, which they ran out of, which is fine because I purposely brought a Lots Away with me to have her sign, and she signed it, and she like made a comment about how it was the first edition, and she was excited and thanked me for what I do because I told her like, yeah, actually it was my first like arc ever, and from Living Korea I was super excited. So I'm an Indigenous reviewer on BookTube, and she's like, oh, thank you for all you do, and I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, that was a moment. And then I actually also got to meet Stephen Graham Jones, which like they didn't advertise for. It was again another publisher, and he was signing copies of Earth Divers, his graphic novel series. So yeah, it was fun. So, yeah, I got the signatures from Stephen Graham Jones and Darcy Lillibetter, like my two favorite like Indigenous authors. So that was a moment I loved. I also was a participant in the Literally Dead Book Club live show for Nick Medina's first book, Sisters of the Lost Nation, with Kayla from Books and Lala, and I'm sorry I forget her name, but it's here, I'll link it down below if you want to go check it out. I wish I had prepped myself a bit better because I finished it like late at night before the live show happened. It was also just like, you know, I'm thinking of things that I could have done better, but ultimately I was just super excited to be a part of it. So thank you so much to Kayla. That was awesome. So yeah. Question 10 is carryovers from last year you still plan on finishing. So there are a bunch in my like currently reading list. The Fox Wife being one of them. As I said, I still plan on finishing that one. There's just a couple of them that like, oh god, there's 15 am I currently reading. I'm gonna have to go through this and just either like, there's some of them that like, yeah, I still plan on reading, they're just softy enough. So right now, Lagoon by Nettie Okorafor, Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes, As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zulfa Katu, just because that was such intense. So I got into it, but it was just a lot and I couldn't read it at work. I think I need a physical copy, in all honesty. Indian Burial Ground I still plan on reading. It's Nick Medina's sophomore book, and I just couldn't get into it, so I think it's softy enough for now. The Fox Wife I still plan on reading. A Botanical Daughter I do still plan on reading. Just I'll have to pick it up later. The Ghost Forest, Racist Radicals, and Real Estate in the California Redwoods. It was actually a really interesting audiobook, but I do want my own physical copy because I think reading it in tandem like that would be really nice so that I can make notes, because there's certain ways that Greg King is phrasing things and I'm like, why? Like I want to read it more critically and make notes in it just for my own amusement, really. But because it's a beefy nonfiction, it's like over $30. So I'm kind of hesitant to get a physical copy at the moment. And then Victory of Eagles by Naomi Novik I do plan on reading at some point. It's just a softie enough for right now. So yeah, there's a couple. And yeah, that was all the questions for the January book tag. So thank you so much for joining me on this. Yeah. Let's go ahead and put a bat emoji because that's very Jan. That's Jan's brand. Otherwise, if you've done this, otherwise, yeah, I hope that, thank you for your support, thank you for the love, and thank you for your patience, and I hope that you are in the mental mindset to enjoy your reading. I hope that you aren't thinking too much about this new year. Yeah, I'm trying not to. I know it's hard. But yeah, Happy New Year. I hope that you're taking care of yourself, and I hope to see you in another video very soon. Chew.